welcome to this edition of The Insight. I am Babla Jonathan. In this edition of the program, we're analyzing the poor, better still, weak development of Cameroon's agricultural sector. And the country's agricultural sector is struggling due to poor infrastructure, other problems linked to climate change, impact, low value addition, and poor or weak market organization, hindering productivity, income, and development. Despite the sector's economic importance, we are looking at why the huge agricultural potential of Cameroon is not well exploited by the country, is not well exploited by Cameroonians, and how to turn the tide. Stay with us as we unravel all these for you in this edition of The Inside. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Our guest today, Cameroonian-born US-based IT expert, technology expert, entrepreneur, chairperson of the Board of Trustees of the ICT University, and the brain behind what is today known as digital agriculture in Cameroon. Professor Victor Mbarika joins us today, and we had a conversation with Professor Victor Mbarika during his last visit to Cameroon some 2 months ago on the issue of the huge agricultural potential of Cameroon and why Cameroon and Cameroonians are not exploiting the potentials that are presented by this sector, or are not exploiting it to maximum, are not exploiting it at an industrial scale in order to boost productivity, wealth creation, job creation, and of course bring a huge impact on the economy of the country. Professor Victor Mbarika, thank you for joining us in this edition of Insight. Welcome to the program.
No, thank you. Always my honor being on Equinoxe.
Right. Let's begin by analyzing the fact that as of now, Cameroon is importing much of what it is consuming in terms of food. We're talking about rice, for example. We're talking about even palm oil that is imported by some companies here in Cameroon from Gabon. We're talking about wheat, for example. What's your analysis of that?
It's a major problem. We are importing more than we really should at this point in 2025. And the amazing thing is, like, I'm a member of the Cameroon Academy of Science, and this is what we are actively discussing about import substitution now. And we have a great potential to locally produce a lot of what we are importing. And in fact, even the Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Tiongute, has challenged the Cameroon Academy of Science to look into ways to address this issue of import substitution, such that Cameroon can eventually be self-sufficient in its own production and making enough to even export to other countries. And so within the academy, we've identified certain regions of the country where certain crops can do well, and other regions where other crops can do well. So it's a major challenge, but not one that we cannot overcome.
Right. So, what's your reading of the fact that Cameroon is endowed with enormous agricultural potential in terms of land, in terms of water resources, in terms of climate, even manpower, but production, agricultural production, is still very low?
Yeah, because it's very simple. Much of the agriculture done in Cameroon is still very rudimentary. Now, I'm not talking about CDC, I'm not talking about Sodecoton, I'm not talking about the big name multinationals. Most farmers are still using very rudimentary tools to do farming, and I'm not blaming them. That's the best they know. And everybody is waiting for the government to do things. I've said this many times. The government, as flashy as it can be, governments don't have money. Governments don't have resources to do the big things that are needed to bring a country from developing to emerging or developed countries. It is private sector. So a lot of businessmen are focusing on other domains of the economy, as opposed to agriculture that needs heavy investment in equipment such that larger productions can be done. You talk about Cameroon's the fertile soil we have in Cameroon and the existence of so much free land that can be used for agriculture. ICT University is doing a collaboration with Lavras University in Brazil for this e-agriculture we are trying to implement here. And you know what they kept telling me? They kept saying, we really have a lot of great ideas, but we don't even have, the university anyway, does not have enough land to do the bigger things that they want to do. And like, how will you guys do in Cameroon? I said, don't worry, we have more than enough land in Cameroon. And then we have other collaborations with some other countries that do not even have enough sun. I told them Cameroon is blessed with so much free sun and the government does not charge for sun. We can have solar panels in Kuseri and different places that we don't even need to use NAO to produce the power that we need. Other places don't have wind. We have more than excess wind in some parts of Cameroon, naturally blessed by God to produce wind energy. I know the technologies used to produce wind, it does not make places look pretty, but it works, you know. So Cameroon is naturally endowed with so much resources, but I'm sick and tired of talking about how rich Cameroon is in terms of its resources, its natural resources. We need to move from that language to actually do something, and that's why I am still saying the business sector has to put in money to develop the agriculture sector. Cameroon cannot just depend on just CDC and these other places. We need private CDCs all around the country.
No, for several years, the government has been talking about second generation agriculture, and we don't see it coming forth. We don't see that industrialized level of agriculture being practiced in Cameroon.
Yeah.
And what is the question now is, what is blocking the second generation agriculture, better still, industrialized or mechanized agriculture from being practiced at a large scale that will go a long way to boost agricultural production to meet up with demand? Because as of now, what is produced locally is far below demand.
I say we're very wicked dependency mindset that we have. Again, I keep saying this, we have a very wicked dependency mindset that the job to develop things lies in the hands of the government. I keep saying again and again, the government cannot do it. The government does not have the resources to do it. No government does, not even the American government. I'll give you an example. Do you know many people are not even aware that back in 2018, the head of state signed a decree, whether it's a decree or something into law, that universities can be entrepreneurial. In other words, universities, public and private, can own businesses. Then I asked myself, wait a minute, the big name universities, why are they not getting into agriculture and making money? But they have many people, doctorate and agriculture, masters in agriculture, and then they come out and they want government to give them work. My goodness, what a failure. Now, these universities, they have authorization from the government to build businesses. It's all about the digits. It's all about the money. They can invest. Universities must start, I believe it must start with the universities. They must invest and develop agricultural businesses. I think they can develop many other businesses, but this is one of them. The reason why it's not happening is because people are waiting for someone else to do it. And so entrepreneurial mindsets have to be developed in order to run this, because, man, I am thinking, I don't believe there's any other country in Central African region where the government allows or has signed into decree universities to run businesses within them. this is the perfect opportunity and perfect environment.
But
So even though some people don't want to take advantage of it, we will take. We have started taking advantage of it. We just launched that this October to run agricultural businesses through our institution, ICT University. We're taking advantage of that law or that decree by the president.
Right. You're talking about what you're developing at the level of ICT University, bringing in ICT into agriculture. Now we'll talk about that later. But first, there seems to be a contrast between what is said and what is practiced.
Yes.
We talk about second generation agriculture, and we still see government authorities offering rudimentary tools like hoes, machetes, wheelbarrows to farmers in different parts of the country. So does that make sense? Second generation agriculture and crude tools.
Well, I'm not an expert to comment on what government does, but because I'm a technocrat, right? Yeah. I don't know much about how government operates. But
I'm looking at the tools.
Yeah, but to talk about the tools, what I know about though is that the government bought lots of tractors, I believe from China, and we saw them on the internet with grass growing around them, not being used. So it may not be a problem of government, it may be a problem of the people government trusted to implement these expensive tractors that were bought. I think they were somewhere in the southern region.
In Obala, I think so.
The Obala, yeah, and there's grass growing around it. I don't see where that's a government problem. The person that was entrusted that project should explain why is the grass growing around tractors that local farmers can use. By the way, a tractor is very easy. On my ranch in the United States, I use tractors. Well, not me personally, my staff members. And it takes 2 hours to train a person how to ride a tractor. It's not a difficult thing. It's easier than teaching someone to drive a car. Much easier. In 2 hours, you can train someone to use a tractor. But they're there. So, well, I want to differ with you a little bit. I think the government has put in money to buy good, expensive equipment. I do know that sometimes some mayors will go and give people cutlasses and hoes and, to go. But that is why I still come to the fact that the job to really push the agriculture sector forward, and I'm telling you, this is my personal but correct opinion about it, is for the private sector. Businessmen, businesswomen need to bring in the kind of equipment needed for large-scale agriculture and train locals how to use and maintain those equipments for large-scale production. Otherwise, the local villager would have no choice but to continue with the rudimentary tools. The cutlasses and hoes cannot do much to produce the rice needed for Cameroonians to consume. And by the way, if we produce rice in large quantities in Cameroon, we have a huge market in Nigeria. Nigeria cannot even import enough rice for its people. They eat too much rice there, more than here. So that is a huge export.
A huge market.
Market for us. Then another thing too, which is a reason why we are still rudimentary, is our youth. Our youth in their minds, they believe agriculture is for poor people. They believe that. But like it or not. And that is why I'm advocating and putting my own personal money to bring in tools that would encourage young people to want to do agriculture. Because if you just tell them, hey, come and carry hoes and cutlasses to go and do agriculture, they will not come and do it. That's why we want to use Android generation type tools to encourage them to use Android generation type things in agriculture in order to transform that. And we will do it. We are on a mission for this, but our bigger goal is to involve many other institutions to do the same. I think we can do it. It's not too late.
All right. So there seems to be a problem at the level of education, because earlier you were talking about persons holding doctorate degrees in agriculture, agronomy, and all of that. But as it is the case in many sectors, in the science sector, in every other sector, there seems to be a lot of theory, and practical is reduced to a very small percentage of the training that is offered, especially in higher institutions of learning, even those that are now implementing agricultural programs and so on. There seems to be a lot of focus on theory.
You see, I don't believe I've heard anybody put it better than you have. You have put it perfectly. There is a very destructive focus on theory, on brain knowledge, as opposed to practical hands-on knowledge. You have put it best. There are so many PhDs in agriculture. There are so many PhDs in entrepreneurship in our country, but that have never run a small store in a quartier. I would rather take a Magida man running his small store selling pain chargé to come and teach entrepreneurship at the university, as opposed to someone with a PhD that has never run a small corner store to come and make noise about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is not just theory, it's practice. So I'm talking about you cannot talk about agriculture without talking about the entrepreneurial part of agriculture. You know, it's a problem with our university system. Many lecturers are looking for government appointments. It's sickening. I have many friends in the academic world here. And by the way, to be fair, it's not just a Cameroon problem. I see it in Nigeria. I see it in Uganda. I see it in different countries in Africa where I own organizations. Many university lecturers, their dream is that the president of their countries will sign a decree and make them department head, make them dean, sign a decree to make them, chancellor? No, you can't be chancellor in Cameroon. I think it's vice chancellor, right? I think the chancellor is the minister. Many lecturers, that is their dream, to be appointed. So they will go and pretend like they love things of the government. They will pay eye services so they can get the government to appoint them, and then they end up being authoritarians as opposed to actually doing hands-on stuff. It's unfortunate. So the government gives them this confidence, and they abuse the confidence by taking it and just sitting in an office with secretaries to come and talk to them. No, that must change. I'm not saying the US is correct. I've learned some things in the US, some good things and some bad things. But one of the good things in the academic sector in the US is that they do hire hands-on people that have developed their own businesses and things to come and give lectures. Then they still have those of us that are PhD holders with our big professor names to teach theory, but they mix it up now with people for practice. You know, and that's why I have one of my goals to take these boys at Avenue Kennedy that repair phones. We're going to bring them to ICT University for free, and we'll train them really good ways to repair phones without instead messing them up. We have that training now. I know that's not agriculture. That's not what we came here to talk about. I'm giving this reference to really buttress the fact that you are so correct when you say our system is too theoretical, and it's not fair to our country. It's not fair what we as lecturers we do to our governments that have entrusted confidence in us to do the right things, but instead when they give us a position is to use our powers. I have problems with a few of these people that are in authority in some universities here, that ICT University has to work with them, but they just frustrate processes because they give them power, and they are very useless in the way they use the powers they have been given. And I have no patience for that. And I'm glad that I've reached a point I don't really care, because I've accomplished what I've accomplished in America. And whether or not they want to work with me, I don't really care. I will do what I think is best for my great country, Cameroon, and move forward. But there are other people that I've met that are very, very industrious and want to do the right thing and want to keep training our students in the way that they can come out and not get government jobs or get company jobs, but develop their own jobs. We want to get 10,000 youths. We will do it in the next 5 to 10 years to own agricultural businesses in this country. I cannot talk about what everybody else would do, but I can talk about what we would do as an institution.
Before we go into the depth of ICT in agriculture, let's take a look at policy.
Correct.
What is needed at that level to boost agricultural productivity, to push many people into agriculture? Because we've heard it in speeches of some government authorities, including with the President of the Republic, encouraging young people to be daring, to be innovative, to do things, to get into the domain of agriculture. But policy has a big role to play to bring this to reality.
I have supervised many PhDs to do with policy, be it in IT, be it in business. I've supervised quite a bit, so I have some level of authority in this domain to speak of it. There are two aspects of policy. There's policy development and there's policy implementation. Cameroon now has one of the best policies to encourage agriculture. I don't even think many people are aware of this. And I think you guys in the media need to talk more about this. Because it's there. Where you are given tax exonerations for many, many years, I believe 5 years, full exoneration, and then from the 6th to the 10th year, 50% exoneration from certain taxes. Oh my goodness. That is like amazing news for any businessman like me. Where you can get it even duty-free agricultural equipment into this country. Now that's the policy. The question is when you meet John Doe, I don't want to give any particular tribe name before they say I'm tribalistic. You meet John Doe at the port in Kribi or the port in Douala. And government policy shows that these things must come in free. But then they start coming up with all kinds of other laws that they themselves may have manufactured there in Douala or in Kribi, just such that you can bribe them. And we have come to a point where we believe bribing is part of how to do business. But, my dear brother, that has to change. Because, while some of us may have the finances to bribe if we want to, how about the young man that's 21 years old that has gathered his money and bought a tractor from China and it arrived Douala and then they hold it? Government has said you can bring it in duty-free, but John Doe, who is a custom officer, starts telling you some nonsense about document for this, document for that, document for this, just to frustrate you, for you to pay him a big bribe, and then you end up being as if you have even paid the duty really to bring in that tractor, and the young man does not have the resources to run the business. And when it fails, they'll say, oh, young people are not serious. So there must be measures also to make sure that the policies are implemented correctly. I'll give you another example, and this happens even in Nigeria. The Nigerian government bans at one point the importation of rice. Some politicians that owned import companies in Nigeria to import rice, they continue to import rice in large quantities because when it gets to the port, it was cheaper for them to import rice than for them to develop farms to do the rice in Nigeria, by the way. So they were importing it from Asia. But these were Nigerian government officials. They had the power, they had the connections. So they would just go to the port and shout at the port manager, and he releases the bags of rice, and they still continue to sell bags of rice in Nigeria, which till today, that policy had been put many years back. But you still see imported rice on the streets of Lagos. Why? Because although the policy was put in place, there were government officials that are so powerful and could walk to the port in Apapa, in Lagos, and still get down their containers of rice to go and sell. So while we talk about import substitution, even in the Cameroon Academy of Sciences, led by my good father, Professor Biban Sami Chumbo, we will have to work closely with the government to make sure that we don't enter the case of like Nigeria, where some people with their powers would violate government policy, and then local farmers cannot export or sell their products even locally or through exports. You know,
and that becomes a difficult situation there, because we will now have what can be qualified as unfair competition.
Absolutely.
Because the imported rice will definitely be cheaper than what is produced locally, and with the low purchasing power of Cameroonians and many Africans in general, they will definitely be going for the imported rice, and the guy who is producing will end up falling out of business.
I'm friends with several of the chiefs, the funds from DOP. Several of them are my friends. Why is DOP rice more expensive than rice from Thailand? Have you asked yourself that question? There's a problem somewhere. DOP rice, good high quality rice, produced in Cameroon. Why is it more expensive? Well, you know, in the business world, the people will come and buy your products if it's cost effective. I will not go and buy DOP rice just because I want to be patriotic. I will go and buy rice from Thailand. I'm not talking about me as Victor MBARIKA, but the average consumer, right? We'll go and buy the cheaper one, because rice, not rice, right? And they will come and eat it because it's cheaper. So I really believe I've never done the economic analysis or policy analysis of the DOP rice issue, but I really believe it has to do with people violating policy. You know, let me give you another very important thing about policy. I've been watching on TV, I believe it was on CRTV, where the gendarmes went and arrested somebody for producing wine in their houses. And Cameroonians were clapping. Yeah, the government has arrested them. They are doing clandestine wine. I thought that's the most foolish thing I've ever seen. No, the government should not go and arrest people for producing alcohol in their homes. You know what they should do?
Why not?
They should have policy to tell all those PhDs in chemistry, all those big professors in chemistry or whatever it is, to come and train those people how to produce wine with the correct mixture of whatever needs to. I don't know how to produce wine, all right? I don't know whether it's even chemistry or professors of biology, to come and tell those people how to produce it correctly, so they don't produce it in a way that could harm people. Those people don't belong to the prison. They should go to vocational school and they teach them how to produce good wine. So when you arrest them, what are you saying? That we should be drinking Bordeaux from France? Or what is this one that everybody likes in Cameroon? Haute Medoc? That's nonsense. We should be drinking DOP wine. We should be drinking Zangtabi wine from my village. That's what I believe. We should be drinking a Bolowa wine.
The right wine, of course. Not fake.
But how do we get the right wine?
Palm wine that is harmful to the health of the population.
I agree. I agree with you on that. We don't want to harm population. How do we not harm population? By getting all those. Don't we have all these big PhDs in biology, chemistry, or whatever it is in the science that is needed to produce wine? I'm not in that domain. But why can't they come and train those people in a vocational situation? Those people that are doing it in their homes, they don't have to come and go and get a license or bachelor's degrees in wine production. They can train them for 3 months. How do you do the mixture? How do you go to the vineyard or develop vineyards to produce the wine correctly? It's not rocket science. It can be done. No, the gendarmes should not go arresting them only. And Cameroonians are happy. Happy for what? It's a disgrace. So we get foreign wine, but foreign wine, nobody doubts the quality. Have they tested the Bordeaux that comes in? Have our scientists in Cameroon tested it in the labs that they are not poisonous either? No, the assumption is that because it's a white man that makes it, it's fine, right?
And that's another problem completely, because when we look at this issue of imported and locally made, that assumption is a serious problem, because if you put a product here, even cassava, I want to take just even cassava, and you put on one written, you write on one producing Italy, and you write on the other one producing Cameroon, everybody will be going to
producing Italy. So mentality has to change. No, I'm very passionate about this, and it's why I am going into this digital agriculture project, because in reality, we have been fooled in our heads that it must be white for it to be right. No, it must not be white to be right. I wish gendarmes would go to the airports and the seaports and arrest people bringing Bordeaux and Haute Médoc after they test them and they see something wrong with them. I'm sure some of them come with some defects, one or two. So one of my good friends, big businessman in this country, I will not call his name, I go to his house and he says he serves only French wine. And that, Victor, as you come to Cameroon, don't drink the wine from Sofavin. And he explains what Sofavin means. It means Sofa vin. Sofa vin. You should not drink that, but you should drink Haute Médoc from white people that don't even like us. No, we should be proud of producing our own, it's part of agriculture, producing our own locally made wines and consuming what they in fact, today you go to, I have many minister friends here all over Africa. I've been privileged to visit many presidents in my career. And when you go to all these dinners organized by the presidents or the ministers, they only serve foreign wines. I've never seen them serve palm wine. Why? Natural drink from God, given to Africa.
Well, maybe it's because the production is still at a very local level. I mean, the harvesting and the processing and all of that. There's no kind of, I don't think there's any industrial or any factory where palm wine is produced. Is still very local.
I beg to differ with you. I think the reason is because you cannot receive Professor MBARIKA and give him palm wine because he's a professor. You should give him Haute Médoc, which I don't like. Give my palm wine, I'll be happier. And by the way, on my ranch in the United States, I run a 15-hectare ranch just for private things. I told the U.S. government, because I've done a lot of consulting for the government of the United States in advising them who to give grants to. And I told them that I need money now to put a high-tunnel greenhouse on my ranch where I will be growing local Cameroon palms that will produce palm wine, because I told them that there is a science behind it, where scientists in Cameroon say palm wine is good for the eyes, right? And guess what? I may be the first producer and supplier of Cameroon palm wine in America very soon. No, I don't want to do it for business. I'm just doing it for the love of my country and to show that we can do some things in other lands. But in reality, I'm very serious about this. This whole idea of depending on foreign countries for things we can produce with our God-given natural soil resources, water resources. There are places in Adamawa. I want to thank the government of Cameroon because they've given me land in Tibati, 1,000 hectares for my project, the ICT University project. In this e-agriculture domain, which we are collaborating with the government of Brazil. We have in Tibati, natural rains, okay? We don't even have to spend a whole lot of money. We're going to still produce water through wells and stuff, but the amount of money we will use to generate water, there will not be as much as if we were in a very arid area. And so I am very passionate about us being proud of our local productions, not to be depending on wheat from Ukraine that does not even have our kind of riches in agriculture to produce bread and puff.
Once there's a problem there, we're in trouble here.
Absolutely.
Now, before we continue the conversation with Professor Victor MBARIKA, let's go to the newsstands. We are looking at what the newspapers reported this week. This is the press review. NewsHub reports that soldiers used force to remove trucks along the Megangan-Gaundere highway. The truck drivers went on rampage over police harassment. And The Voice says to break anti-brutality strike, the army flips trucks. The paper tells its readers that the protest sparked by a single gendarme's slap has escalated into a regional crisis after the army smashed through with bulldozers. The median death in custody of Ekane Anise critics lambasts criminal negligence of the BIA regime. According to Boston, USA-based public intellectual veteran Ekine Agbo Ebain, the mere fact that George Ekane Anise was taken into state custody alive and he left dead is condemnable. And the Sun reports that after the death of Anise Ekane calls gallop for unconditional release of all in detention. Cameroon Tribune transmits government's message to the European Union, reiterating the fact that Cameroon is a sovereign state and will not receive instructions from anyone after the European diplomat sent words to the Yaoundé administration over the death of Anise Ekane. In an exclusive interview granted Daily Voice, the Bishop of Yagwa says, "Free Paul Biya from bandit." The firebrand Bishop Barthélemy Yaouda Hugo declares that President Paul Biya has been kidnapped by corrupt elite. The Horizon, non-payment of research bonuses, lecturers stop lectures and assessment, announced full strike from 5th January 2026 if government does not respond to their plight. The Dawn reports that the World Food Programme has sounded a grave warning over worsening food insecurity in Cameroon, cautioning that millions of vulnerable people could face catastrophic hunger if urgent funding is not mobilized. As reported by Municipal Updates, the Minister of Mines, Industry and Technological Development, Professor Fu Callisto Gentry, drummed transparency during the 2023 Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative 80 report presentation to ensure Cameroon's readmission. On the front page of The Advocate, journalists, civil society organizations, security and defense forces adopt UN human rights best practices in elections. And in another story, the paper says the United Nations and female mayors want an end to institutional gender-based violence. And Cameroon Tribune highlights a demand by women who are requesting a law to step up their participation in politics. The Guardian Post, December 8, 2004, December 8, 2025. They've clocked 21 years in same office today. The paper makes reference to the Minister of Higher Education, the Minister of Environment, Nature Protection and Sustainable Development, the Minister of Trade, and the Minister of Scientific Research and Innovation. The four government members have spent 21 years in the same position. In another issue, the paper tells its readers that to boost digital learning, the Minister of Secondary Education, Professor Nalova Lionga, has handed over electronic boards to 250 schools nationwide. According to Municipal Updates, the Kondo Titi Council in the southwest region of Cameroon has unveiled a France-yearly 969 million worth development agenda for 2026. Right now, we want to bring to you interviews of the week.
We can't talk about multipartism in Cameroon without talking about Yondo Black. He was jailed because of multipartism. We can't talk about liberties, freedom of speech, freedom of expression in Cameroon without talking about Yondo Black. We can't talk about the Cameroon bar without talking about Yondo Black. He was indeed an icon.
We are here to say goodbye to a great lawyer, a great humanist, and somebody he was the second bâtonnier of our bar. Since then, we have had 11 bâtonniers. Yondo's first fight was to gain a full independence of the bar. And I think that is where his greatness is really grounded.
Yondo Black was a particular lawyer, a lawyer with a particular spirit, a spirit that cannot support injustice. Yes, and today we think that through what he has done, a normal lawyer must not be somewhere and others are practicing injustice. That is why we say we have to fight for the good of our society.
He stood for human rights. I mean, he made sure that each time there was a matter that had to do with human rights, you found him in court.
He's one of those who stood for democracy in this country, one of those people who fought for liberty, who fought for good governance, who fought for justice, who fought for social equality.
Batune Yondo Black Mandingi was a legal colossus. We are going to learn from his legacy as a man who has stood for human rights, who has stood for civil liberty, and as we have immortalized him today by the Cameroon Bar, I think that most of us young lawyers are going to learn from him, are going to emulate him.
The Cameroon Bar thinks that we want to make a monument of him. That we think that the family of Yondo Black should surrender to the Cameroon Bar the rod of Yondo Black. That rod is so precious to the Cameroon Bar. By itself is a whole history, and that the Cameroon Bar intends to keep, so that children, younger colleagues that are yet to born will grow up and read and see at least the rock that was won one time by a great icon.
We are still with our guest, Professor Victor MBARIKA, IT expert, entrepreneur, chair of the Board of Trustees of the ICT University, and of course the brain behind what is today known as digital agriculture in Cameroon.
Professor, tell us about this project of digital agriculture, ICT in agriculture. What's it all about?
We call it e-agriculture, which is really not a parlance. Digital agriculture, in our case, is the heavy use of artificial intelligence and robotics in agriculture. We are working with the Lavras University in Brazil. We are purchasing the equipment from Brazil and China, but with a condition, and that's why private investors are very important. Government cannot do it all. We are purchasing the equipment, paying cash, with the condition that they will come and train young Cameroonians, 16-year-olds to 25-year-old Cameroonians, how to operate the equipment, how to maintain the equipment, how to build this equipment. So ICT University recently hired the former director of Polytechnic, Professor Charles Awono, who has been hired as the Vice President for Research and Investment and Entrepreneurship. He will be leading this program that eventually, instead of even importing this equipment, we will locally manufacture some of this equipment here. So
it's transfer of technology.
Transfer of technology, very, very important, because we don't want a situation where an equipment is bad and we are waiting for some white man to fly and come and fix it. No, we'll do it locally. And eventually, after some years, even building the equipment to supply to other farmers, we'll do it here in Cameroon. But it's one step at a time. So the robotics will have robots that will be able to clear 1 hectare of a farmland or grass within hours. Yes, we'll have such robots. And I know when we do this, I'm already getting some critiques that we are removing people from work. We are removing local village farmers from doing work. No, those village farmers now will be trained how to provide materials needed for our robots and so on. And then artificial intelligence would be using software and AI software to be able to know about the weather. Now with iPhone 17, in fact from iPhone 15, there are AI apps. If you are discovering that your plant is having some plant disease, by just pointing at the leaf or the stem, within seconds, it will tell you what the disease is, it will tell you how to treat it, and where to get the resources or the materials to treat it. The phone will identify that I am in Tibati, and it will be able to locate a shop, be it in Tibati or in Douala or in Yaoundé, some areas where you can buy whatever the materials you would need to treat that. Now, remember, I'm not an agriculture specialist. I'm hiring staff that will help me in all this, okay? I can talk about the technology part. But AI can help identify plant diseases. AI can help identify what kind of soil you are working with and what kind of plants will grow best there. Then we'll be using a lot of geographic information system, GIS, to map out areas and where certain crops will be best and will get the highest yield within the smallest amount of land. That is part of what e-agriculture does. So you are not just throwing seeds and planting things everywhere without being purposeful. And this is where we are trying to bring. So the students coming in, these 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds coming out of high school, instead of saying that they want to go and do modern letters or geography, or they want to go and do law, which are the popular things a lot of us as Africans who want to do, they can say, I am going to do digital farming. Well, now it sounds better than them saying I'm going to be a farmer, because their families will be like, no, na poor man walk that, right? So each student will be given a hectare of land when admitted. That land, they will be trained how to use digital tools in growing that area and making a business out of that 1 hectare of land. About 50% of the students will be on full scholarship. But full scholarship, I'm even revealing now my business model, I don't care. The reality is that they will produce the university more money than the scholarship we have given them. Because they will produce their fees and they will produce money as business aspects of the university.
I want you to emphasize a little bit on this, because someone who is in Tibati now, where you've purchased land for the project, and who has heard about this project, is certainly saying, okay, when time comes for the implementation of this project, they'll certainly call me to use my machete to clear the 1,000 hectares or something, and really hoping that, okay, this is employment that's coming. And then when they hear that you're coming with robots, but wow, so what are we going to do? Now, you said that you're going to train those who have been doing the clearing, for example, with the crude tools, to be able to use the digital tools. So those who are in Tibati now, should they be expecting you to come, bring them on board the training in order to use them? Because they are where the project will be executed, and they will definitely be hoping that you're going to use them in the execution of the project.
robots work with a lot of things. I know a lot of time people just look at a robot as just that robot going around.
Yeah,
okay.
Because
there are
some robots on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, the small machine is just parading the place and cutting the grass, running up and down and so on. But definitely somebody is manipulating it from the background.
Yes, but those ones you see on Facebook are not even the industrial ones that we are bringing, right? Those are the ones that can even clear your yard.
Just
right?
for the yard and things.
The more advanced ones for heavy agriculture comes with sensors that have to be placed in different areas of the land, such that, for example, if there is a stream, you don't want the robot to end up going into the stream, right? If there is a road at the end of the land, it should not go on the road and something hits it, right? A Clando driver just comes and hit the darn thing, right? So there are sensors, so things that will be placed all around the land, and these are jobs these people will be trained to do. And I am saying these things may sound complicated. This training would take less than 3 months for the locals to be trained. The fact is, the world is changing. So people will have to be trained with these new technologies. Now, I'm not sure our project will be helpful to people above the age of 40 to come and work. Our target is to train a new generation of people that will only be thinking using technology in agriculture. It's not just to do agriculture. It's a mission ICT University has to train. That's why you hear me, I keep talking about 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds that come out of high school. Their minds have not yet been corrupted to think, well, not corrupted. Their minds are not just there with that cutlass. And we can change their mindset. We can use their young mindset to now start knowing that agriculture is done through advanced technologies, to the point where their children, when they are born and they get into their businesses, they'll be like, wow, people used to use cutlass? How do you use cutlass to cut grass? The world is moving, my dear brother.
At a very fast pace.
And somebody will have to be trained now to start thinking different how to do it. I know that in the minds of most people, they are still thinking how their parents in the village were doing farming. We want to change that mindset. There is pride in what those our grandfathers, our parents, they did. They did that and they fed generations of people. But now we are talking about a nation, like as Cameroon, that we want to prove something to the world, that we are the biggest suppliers of wheat, we are the biggest suppliers of corn, we're the biggest suppliers of palm nuts. I go to Malaysia. Is covered with palm trees. I am a visiting professor at the University of Malaysia in Shah Alam. I go give lectures there. And I see palm trees all over. Where did they get that technology from? Where did they learn how to grow palm trees? From Nigeria and Cameroon. But now they produce more palm oil. I mean, there is no comparison. And I'm even told that now you can go and buy imported palm oil in Cameroon. That is a travesty. It's abominable that we will buy imported palm oil in Cameroon. No, we can do better than that. We should be exporting. We should be exporting. That's what we are trying to do, because the rudimentary tools cannot produce at the scale to export. And we by the way, I know we talk, I don't know whether your show will go to the point where we will talk about transformation, because it's a huge part of our digital agriculture. We are planning to do a major transformation initiative in the south, working with the University of Ebolowa. We are still working out the agreement with the University of Ebolowa, but in the southern region, where we'll do a huge transformation, still using a lot of advanced technologies.
That's another side of the coin, because there's also a problem that much of what is produced in Cameroon is exported as raw material, cocoa,
exactly,
and coffee, all of that. Much of what we produce, we just
export. Yes,
we don't transform.
Yes,
and so there is the value chain is not there. We don't see the added value to what we produce. Rather, we export, and then. But then there is something which I wanted to clarify, Prof. Because when we talk about digital, people will be thinking about artificial farm produce, or better still, because, for example, I went to Israel recently, and I noticed that the Israelites were, or they should be doing that already, because at that time, some months back, it was still like a project that we were working on, producing meat from the laboratory.
Yes.
Producing meat, printing food.
Yes, the Chinese had already been doing that a long time ago.
Food.
Yes.
And it's like, when you share that with somebody in Cameroon, they will be telling you, but meat from the laboratory?
Yeah.
How? They will say, it's like something that is abstract.
Yeah.
Something that is even abominable.
Yeah.
That you take a live cell of an animal, you get into the laboratory, and then you fabricate something you can determine to have meat from the head.
Or you can clone animals too.
The tail, or any part of the body, any part of the meat that you want from the laboratory. And when you tell people that you can get into a laboratory in Israel today and you print food, you order water fufu and arrow, you put the ingredients, you punch the ingredients on the machine, and the machine produces the food for you. It's like, this is abomination.
That's right.
So, but then the digital agriculture you're talking about is not yet that. If I get you
not at all.
It's going to be producing natural farm produce.
Absolutely. So think of us as ICT University. We are technology people. We are not agricultural people. We are working with agricultural people, right? That's why for this program, we will be mentored by University of Chang. They have a long history of agriculture, right? We provide the technology, but the agricultural specialists, they still, whatever is going to the ground, to the soil as seeds or whatever, or stems that are planted, is still the work of the agriculture experts. We are just providing the enabling environment to propagate what they are doing in larger scale than they have been doing normally. That is all it is. I don't know about that science of producing food in the labs. I know it exists, but it's not my domain. And as an intellectual, we only limit ourselves to what we know best. We will still be very organic in what we produce to make sure it's healthy. And don't forget, even though I keep saying these are private initiatives, that is where we still need government policy. That's why we have a Ministry of Agriculture that should tell us, hey, ICT University, be careful. You are crossing the boundaries of science that are not acceptable in Cameroon. So,
for example, the issue of genetically modified
GMOs and so on. Yeah. We don't want that in our country. I am a strong believer in staying away from anything that is not organic. See, these things I'm doing, it's not, I'm doing this as a mission. On my ranch in the United States, I have a lot of cows, I have a lot of goats, I have a lot of my country fowls. I don't eat fowls from the grocery stores like Walmart in America that from egg to maturity is just 6 weeks. I just brought some of my Cameroonian friends and we were butchering fowls that had been there for 1.5 years before we eat it. Okay? So I am a strong believer that we should not abuse sciences and start producing stuff that very soon we start becoming very fat, like you will see a lot of people in America. I know when they see this, me saying this, I know I'll be insulted on Facebook and social media, but I don't. At this point of my career, I don't really care. Americans know they are fat. They need to do something about it. I would not want to push a mission in Cameroon where we'll be developing human beings with 3 stomachs and 3 necks, like you see people walking on the streets in New York and Alabama.
So this project has nothing to do with genetically modified food?
Absolutely not. We are doing what we are already doing in Cameroon.
Is organic.
Yes, we are doing what we are already doing organically in Cameroon. And by the way, be very careful. Maybe we are not doing everything organic anymore in Cameroon. The way I see the tomatoes fat now in Cameroon, I'm afraid it may not be. That nonsense should stop. So let's be careful. We may not be. I've seen chicken all over being grilled all over the streets in Cameroon. I don't believe those are good chickens from our farms in Zangtabi. I believe they may even be imported. I don't know for a fact. I heard rumors that some fishes, some chicken that we are importing those. Yeah. I don't know if it's legal, but I'm told that we import those. Oh no, that must change. This is what the stuff we want to bring in, this digital agriculture thing, to increase produce to a point where we are instead exporting good quality stuff, to the point where people in the United States, in Europe and so on will import chicken from here and they know it's real organic chicken. I went to a grocery store in Washington, D.C., and guess what I saw there? I saw real country chicken sold in there. And do you know the brand that was on it? It's my mentor. It was called Obasanjo Chicken, named after President Obasanjo. Americans are buying chicken in America named Obasanjo Chicken. Good country fowl. Some of it that were exported from some African countries, I believe from Ghana and Nigeria to those stores. I want Cameroon to be able to do that. We can pick a name of anybody here and name it after them, and it goes all over the world.
Why not Fonduka and Yanga chicken?
Yeah, you know, it's my father too, yes, you know, yes.
All right, so now drive us through the implementation of this project. How are you going about the implementation of this project? And first of all, tell us about the implementation and then the challenges.
Yeah, the start is the academic aspect, which I can't talk much about it because we are still working with University of Chang and Ministry of Higher Education to make sure we are within the norms. Although it's an exciting program, and thank God, the Minister of Higher Education, Professor Jacques Famendongo, who is a real mentor to me, he always corrects me when I'm going wrong. He loves the project. And he says these are the type of projects the head of state wants. I will not talk about it on television if it was. I have a letter from him encouraging us to push this project. But even with that, there are still rules in higher education that you must follow to make sure it's developed within the context of Cameroon. So we intend to go through all the paperwork needed with the University of Chang, with the Ministry of Higher Education, such that come January, we fully launch the academic side from bachelor's and master's. And eventually when Cameroon reopens, because Cameroon has banned PhD programs, eventually when Cameroon reopens PhD programs, we will take this all the way to PhD programs.
Private higher institutions?
No, for all institutions. I want to correct that. A lot of people thought that it was banned for ICT University alone. Yeah, no, all institutions. University of Yaoundé cannot offer PhDs now, you know, and for good reasons. I mean, the government was trying to take precautions because the system was being abused, and I support the government decision on that. No institution in Cameroon can offer PhDs until further notice. I don't think it will be forever, but I think the government is trying to reorganize it in a way that good quality PhDs are produced. It's a good thing. So we want to start with the academic aspects in January, and by June we would have the equipment. In fact, right after this interview, I have a meeting with the University of Lavras people in Brazil. They will be coming here to visit also and look at our lands. They've already seen them on satellite, and they are amazed at the kind of lands we have here. So this will have to involve a lot of good foreign collaborations. Where I received, you will be shocked to hear this, where I received my professorship in America, Southern University, that's where I became a professor, it was my university in America that launched a lot of the agricultural programs at the University of Chang back in the late 1960s. Yes. So, and I was telling my colleagues there is one old professor there now who is emeritus, but he comes once a week and still teaches. that remembers coming to Chang in 1968, 1969 to help develop some curriculum for University of Chang. We want to rekindle that collaboration so it can continue, because they lost touch for over 50 years now. So this, I am doing this not alone, but with a lot of, we still need good partners, good collaborators to help us making it local, right? You know, so we think global, but make it local.
Right. Are there some challenges on the ground? Like you talked about, you've already purchased land in Tibati.
Yes. Well, that one was given to us. We entering a contract with the government for 99 years, I believe. But from the explanation, it may eventually become land owned by the university. There are some legal things we are working on, but we have already gotten the approval through Ministry of Agriculture for the land. Then some in other places we are actually purchasing it outright, such that the university can own it forever. But yeah, challenges. I must tell you, I don't see any major challenges right now. We have the right support from the government. We have the right support from some of our industry partners and academic partners. So for now we are fine.
Right. Tell us about the expected fallout of this project. What are your projections? What are you looking at in terms of fallout of this project with regards to boosting agricultural production in Cameroon, with regards to scaling up agricultural production in the country, and of course the impact that's going to have on the economy of the country as well?
Now, for a large-scale project like we are doing, this may not sound like a lot of money, but I decided to keep it simple, so we are not getting foreign money, and I'm doing that deliberately. So I am investing Victor MBARIKA's money. We are investing 5 billion for the next 5 to 10 years. The goal is to bring in young people, 50% of them on scholarship, the other they'll have to pay fees, to be able to be trained in digital agriculture, but with the goal of them graduating with a business. This is the first time you will hear this. The rules to graduate from this program will be to create a business, or we don't let you get your degree. We are strict on that.
An agricultural business.
An agricultural business. And we are targeting to do this with 10,000 young people in Cameroon. With about 3,000 of these young people, we want to give those to the northwest and southwest regions, because the goal is to have these young people in the bushes, conflicts that we all know about. I know it's a sensitive thing to talk about, to come and be part of this project, such that they can have another alternative than taking guns in the bushes and kidnapping people and so on. But we will give them scholarships to come and learn something that they can develop businesses. But the good thing with those businesses is that those businesses will give back to ICT universities, so we can train new people, and so it becomes a continuous thing. So the goal in terms of production is for Cameroon to be one of the leading countries in Africa in exporting wheat, rice, and other grains.
Right. And then about the issue of having businesses.
Yes.
Having business. What kind of business, for example, are you looking at when you say that for the trainees to graduate, they need to have a business?
So all these trainees come from different regions of Cameroon, right? So the first 2 years, it's a 4-year program for bachelors. The first 2 years will be the theoretical and practicals on the field. Year 3, University of Lavras in Brazil is giving them full scholarship to study there in year 3. And the reason why we did year 3 is since I've already invested 2 years, they'll not go to Brazil and stay there. They will go there for internship in digital agriculture, and we are agreeing with Labras University, they are not paying any fees there. Then they come back in year 4 to go to their regions, or wherever they choose to establish what they have learned. And remember that this thing, again, that's why I say it will be a collaboration between ICT University, the government, the chiefs, the funds in the different regions, to say you have your children that have come and studied this. And many of them have studied free of charge. They have learned these skills. Just give them 1 hectare of land, 2 hectares of land, whatever it is, to establish this business there. The role of the university, the supply networks will be created by ICT University all over the world. So they don't even have to worry about where they will sell. They already have a market. They just need the lands there to practice what they have learned and put it out for local consumption and exports. That is year 4. And that year 4, they would have had to establish that before they graduate. So they spend just maximum 2 years in a classroom. The rest of it, and even those 2 years, is in the classroom and on the field. The rest of it is hands-on.
Right, let's wrap up with the challenge recently launched to 200, if I'm not making a mistake, 200 Cameroonians.
Diasporans,
Cameroonians in the diaspora.
Yes.
What about that challenge? Is it part of this project, and how far?
No, not necessarily part of this project. I am putting my own money into this project, right? But the challenge was that if we get 199 additional diasporans, there are diasporans with good money. There are diasporans that are doing very well, and they're just trying to find out how they can invest back in Cameroon, as opposed to what many people think. A lot of diasporans love this country. They love their country. It's just unfortunate that there are even people in Cameroon that think diasporans hate the country and they are just working against it. It's not true. It's a very small minority of diasporans, very small minority that hate this country. And in fact, if they hear there is war in this country, they may even be happy if this country is being destroyed. It's a very small minority of people. But in the millions of diasporans that are out there, I know for a fact that we can get 200 diasporans, including me, that can invest 5 billion each in the next 5 to 10 years in this country. Guess what that will be? That will be 1 trillion francs CFA. That's a figure nobody has ever heard about. It can be done. But they are afraid because of all the wrong information that is on social media. Oh, it's bad to do work in Cameroon. The government is wicked. The people, they don't have. See, I have imported things in this country for education, and the government gave me 100% exoneration. I will not be saying it on national TV if it was not true, because the people there would. I said this, and some people say, oh, the government. Some people would not be happy unless you demonize the country or demonize the country. I'm saying that I have received that. It's not like when I started doing this, I knew many people in government. No. They just implement some things that are already in the law. And they make sure that some of those knuckleheads at the ports that want to give me problems, they keep to what the law allows me to get. But there are products, things that I import too, like for construction and different things I've done, that I have to pay duty normally because they don't fall within the category of exemptions. You know. But when we get certain donations, we get good exonerations. So I pay my fair taxes, and it works. So it works. And I don't live permanently in Cameroon. I come here about every 2 to 3 months. So I'm challenging these diasporans that have worked very hard, by the way, and have owned businesses or jobs that have allowed them to be millionaires in dollars and pounds and euro, to come back and they can invest in this country, and they will make money from those investments. even sometimes better than if they put it in a foreign bank. The environment, are there challenges? Yes, there are challenges. Every once in a while you will meet people. Like I've said this many times. Even me running ICT University, I have tremendous support from the government. But from time to time, you will meet individuals. Like there are some, I will not call their names, some vice chancellors, some registrars, some people that are just stupidly wicked, that want to spoil anything a diasporan brings here. In the government, there are people like that. But the good news is, there are also people above them that want to see, in the government, that want to see good things happen to the country.
The problem of dual nationality should also be handled. Isn't it another hindrance? Some of those people may want to be part of that challenge.
You know, I hear a lot of this thing about dual nationality and so on. Yeah, I am an advocate that the Senate, I don't know whether it's the Congress, whether it's the Assembly, the National Assembly should vote for dual nationality. Yes, I really believe they should do that. But I don't believe it prevents any diaspora from investing in Cameroon. It does not. And I know some of my friends in the diaspora will be unhappy with me saying this, but remember that I've said that I think that should be voted into law.
But while waiting for
that,
I'm
trying to see...
They can invest while being where they are and investing here.
The government has not prevented any diaspora from investing here just because they took a nationality outside of Cameroon. I think it's more of that the pain of getting the visa to come to your own country. I think that concept of I'm getting the visa to come and put millions of dollars of investment in my own country of birth. Why am I getting a visa? I'll give you a story. Before the e-visas were implemented, I came here with one of my top assistants, the vice president of ICT University. Is a Nigerian, Professor Folusho Ayeni. So I flew on the same flight with him. We had landed. I had my foreign passport. He had a Nigerian passport. Nigerians can enter Cameroon without a visa. But I landed with a foreign passport. When we went to immigration at Simalen, he was in front of me. He presented his Nigerian passport. Oh, they welcomed him. In less than 2 minutes, he was out. I came behind him. I gave my passport. This immigration officer asked me to wait, and in a very rude way. In a very rude way. He was very rude to me. I mean, now I get some help where I get people receive me at the airport, and I thank the government for that. They give me VIP treatment when I land now, which is, again, why I say good government support. Now, when I land at the airport, I have people from RDC, they come and receive me, and it makes my life easier. But in the early days, those are things that could have made me give up. So my friend, who is my subordinate, he is behind the immigration officer laughing at me that, Victor, I thought you were bringing me to your country. I am here. Please, I don't have time to wait. Meet me in the hotel. He was laughing at me. And I think that embarrassment was one of my lowest moments coming to my own home country to invest millions and millions of dollars of my money. But the truth is, it's not the worst thing that could happen. You know,
it didn't stop you.
The solution was, I was angry. I went and talked to some big names in this government. I don't want to call their names. They were angry that happened, and they contacted the airport and made sure that I had some documentation now that when I arrive, I'm received by aeroport to Cameroon, and they take my passport. They now go and process my visas, and I enter the country.
How soon can we expect the first fallout of the digital agriculture?
This is my trip I'm trying to conclude on to make sure I don't make Ministry of Higher Education angry. I'm trying to make sure we put all the documentations together so they are happy with us. But the goal is to launch the academic aspect in January.
All right. The academic aspect starting in January.
And admissions are out there. People can start applying.
And that's it for today's edition of The Insight. Thank you for staying with us. God bless Cameroon. God bless Africa. Goodbye.